World.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program for a special news bulletin from
What's up, Twist World? We're back. What's up, guys? Oh, yeah. Nice.
I had Krispy Kreme this morning.
Yeah. How was that?
It was really good. I mean, actually, we bought them yesterday, but they're still pretty good this morning.
It's like 2 p.m. Would you just save that up for the podcast?
Save what?
That bird.
That belch?
Like,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
like, I ate this 7 hours ago.
I gotta hold
but
this.
I
saved
just
it
felt
for
it
the
was
podcast.
relatable. I didn't mean to draw any correlation.
I'm going to hold this while I grind out Elden Ring and beat these bosses, and then the second we record, let it out.
I
Do a different podcast. Like,
What-
just,
what do you
we don't need to do this podcast anymore. Let's just talk about video games.
Yeah.
So-
I'm all for it.
I literally
Elden Ring is
just
fire.
I'm just jumping to boss. Like, I don't even care about a lot of like the dialogue or anything like that. I'm just like, okay, great. Are you gonna fight me? No, you're not gonna fight me. Okay. Where's the next red bar? That's what I'm looking for. I'm chasing the red bars. I'm like, give me the next red bar.
Do you get excited when you see a green wall?
I do. I'm like, yes, let's go. And like,
Wait, is those balls green?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude,
Man,
you're
something's wrong with my eyesight. bro.
colorblind.
I swear they're yellow.
No, they're like a green. So it's funny.
They're like a piss
It's like
yellow.
puke yellow. Yeah. See?
Yeah.
I mean, he's right. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. When I see him, I like immediately get excited and then I get anxious. I'm like, oh god,
You get that fired.
oh god, I gotta go fight this thing. Oh god, I have 14,000 runes. Get good real fast.
Like I got to stand up when I see him. I'm like, I'm sitting on the
You
couch, I'm
stand up?
relaxing. I'm like, hold up,
He goes
hold
full
up,
Gabe.
hold up. I got to stand up. Well, Gabe, is that what Gabe
Yeah.
does?
So have you? So I mean, we played game night with Gabe for I don't know, like 3 or 4 years, and then it was like it literally was 3 or 4 years before I realized he's like, oh, you guys don't stand up when we do game night. I'm like, bro, we play for like 7 hours
You're right.
sometimes. He's like, yeah, I'm standing the whole time.
wrong with him.
I'm like, he's like, I'm just more comfortable that way. I'm like, we're playing like shooter games. So you're like, what? Are you kidding me?
So I mean, now that our buddy Dre has brought up, wow, now I'm just trying to smash you Elden Ring as fast as possible so I can jump on that. Next
Oh yeah, this summer.
big
Or
thing.
It's not this summer. It'll be a November thing.
oh yeah. Well, still,
Are you being real about this?
I will legitimately play Wrath of the Lich King through and
What?
through. I
Dude,
will
we
play
go
till
through
ICC, and I will beat the Lich King.
We go through these waves.
Swear it. I'll
so
beat the
I
Lich
quit
King.
before Lich King or Lich King. I didn't play. So
So you never experienced any of the content?
no. So like I said, I come from Warcraft, like the old RTS style, whatever.
Heck yeah.
My favorite version of Warcraft 3 was Frozen Throne.
Yeah.
Right. I still have my original case with my original code on it. Like it's sitting at the house. I love that game. Like
Yeah.
and me and Dre played it. I mean, for forever. I loved that genre, like that
Yeah.
storyline.
Yeah.
So when they came out with Wrath, I was in college and I was in a relationship with Julian. We were like in our second or third year to college, and I was like, I don't have time for this. So I didn't end up playing it on WoW, but it's one of those ones that's always been like, oh, I'd go back to that because I didn't want to play retail. I don't want to play retail now. I see the new expansion; it looks legit, but I don't want to do that because there's just too much about it that is not the same. But I don't know how we're gonna do it. I don't know how we're gonna play it.
You know, I always thought it'd be cool if they like a World of Warcraft MMO, right? But like in the StarCraft world.
Oh, 100%. I don't know why they've never done it.
Why they haven't? But maybe now that Microsoft owns Blizzard,
I mean, maybe
they'll dump some money.
the
into
interest to me has always been there. There's enough because StarCraft was legit too.
StarCraft was great.
I think that there was probably a higher player base in the United States for WoW than there was StarCraft, and I think that's part of the reason why you have the Warcraft, the MMO kind of take off here in the United States. It's worldwide now, and it was worldwide back then. But I think the interest originally was from it being interest here. One of the things we didn't know, totally off base. Did you know that Ragnar from Vikings is the king? It's the king, right, in Warcraft in the movie. Totally forgot that he was in that movie.
Oh, really?
Yes. I was like looking him up the other day. This is totally off topic. We're watching the Vikings TV show.
Yeah. So are we.
Yeah. He is the human in one of the humans in Warcraft. He's one of the main guys.
What season are you on? Vikings.
I'm on the last season.
Oh, are you watching it? No, I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, I'm on the last season. We're like episode 7 of the last season. There's like 20, so it's coming to a close. It feels like it should come to a close at this point.
I know. I was a little upset though when homie got tossed in the pit. You know,
You knew
what I
it was
mean? I was
coming.
like, what? I mean, I guess eventually.
Yeah.
But
Anyways,
yeah.
What are we talking about today?
You know, I don't. Are we going video games? Elden Ring? No, I'm just kidding. So our recent trip to Alcatraz with the wives had a blast. It was a good time. Water was a little shaky. I know there was a few motion sicknesses going on.
My wife doesn't like boats.
But-
Not a big fan.
Yeah. Amy just had to kind of just.
Me, on
Stare
the
off
other
there.
hand, I'm like on the front of the boat, like doing the Titanic.
I think it was
thing.
great.
You know, Aaron's holding me while I put my arms out. It's all.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Celine Dion just all of a sudden came on. We're like, wow, this is great.
I had a weird urge to sing right there, but I'll keep it to myself.
I just the only thing I regretted the whole thing is I should have got on the tram in the beginning.
Yeah.
The
Well,
tram?
when did like
The tram, remember that?
when did
had
they
the tram
offer
and then,
the tram? They didn't even offer it. Like all of a sudden, like, so we're gonna go ahead and follow the tram. And there's like
Oh.
20 people on it, and I'm like, wait a minute, that was an option.
You don't want to
Yeah.
do that. Then you don't
True.
have the option to kind of like stop and veer off. if you
Okay,
want to,
I'm
you
gonna
know?
try to get the negative route right out the bat.
Listen, we just smashed in like 30 seconds some Hard Rock Cafe burgers and fries.
It's true.
Like-
That's true. That was
Like
the
quickly,
fastest.
there wasn't even any time for digestion or anything. It was like boom, 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 get
That
in line,
was-
let's roll.
That's
the
why I got myself
fastest
some
trip.
mac and cheese. You know what I'm saying?
Mac and cheese.
You know what I'm saying? Some mac and cheese. And then I was like, I'm ready. I had all those
I'm
carbohydrates. I
Yeah.
was like, I was ready to climb that mountain. That's why I ran afterwards. Remember when I
You
ran?
started anime
we
running.
were
yeah,
all running.
Yeah,
right?
at the
It was
end,
great.
I was perfectly fueled to do that thing because I had all my mac and cheese like a few hours later or before.
It was the fastest I've ever been in to Hard Rock Cafe and out. I mean,
Yeah,
I was
it
expecting
crazy.
to have like a 45-minute wait. We got a 5-minute wait. We were in and
Yeah.
out. Like that was crazy, but it all makes sense when you come back and they're closed at 9:00.
Oh yeah.
Could you? I mean,
Well, the whole pier was closed
at 9:00
on a
Saturday.
Like
So,
that was crazy.
yeah.
No, so we got to go and yeah, I don't know. I was young the last time I went to Alcatraz.
I was in like 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah. You had not been before, right?
I was
Oh, you had gone.
when I was like 6th grade.
Yeah, I think one or a few of the girls hadn't been, but it was cool. So we got there and we saw this desolate place, and I think some of the coolest thing is the history. Like it was originally built. Well, one, it was a lighthouse, so it was the first lighthouse, I guess, on the West Coast. Which I don't remember the guy saying that, but I did look it up, and that's what it was before anything, right? So the first structure that was built was a lighthouse. It was the first California coast lighthouse.
Actually, it was the Indians' land.
It was the Indians' land, as we saw with
Just so you
spray
know.
paint everywhere.
Yeah, it was
right?
actually the Indians before that.
They're claiming it back.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They're like,
I love how the guy.
"Screw you, state park."
I love how the guy and I know that when I told you I looked it up and they were preserving all the graffiti and everything on there. I'm like, the guy goes into saying, but there's no water here, so they wouldn't have lived here.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
even if it was their land, the only thing they would ever do would be come out here maybe to fish for the day
On
and
top
then
of
go
it.
home. Like,
Yeah.
right? There's no water that's like natural drinking water that's produced from it. There's
Yeah.
nothing. So if you were to live on that, you would have to boat things in every day in order to sustain it. And he's like, so
yeah. They just kind of canoed in their little boats. They went out, let's do a little fishing, and then head back.
it would have been cool to see it back then, though.
Oh yeah,
Right? With nothing around, no developments, no
buildings.
structures, nothing, and just to be able to like, oh hey, I want to go there and fish.
right. No, for sure. And then, so then they built this military structure, which was built by the military prisoners, and they built it to protect the gold rush. Right. I mean, that was kind of the census that guy said. Right. I mean,
Well,
he's-
protect access to the bay. That was
Yeah.
the big thing, was making sure that nobody can get in the bay because that was where the gold rush was started, or at least to get up to where the gold rush was.
right. And then after that, they converted it. They sold it to the federal prison systems, and it became a prison. And it was a prison for roughly 30, something like that. I did look it up. The two main reasons why it closed, being a prison and became a state park, was that one, cost.
So
That's
expensive.
Yeah, everything has to be shipped in. I mean, they've got power there. They built a power
They
plant.
make more money now showing it off than they do actually running it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. But hey, remember we were in the shower area, and I was like, hey, I wonder if the water comes in cold, right?
Yeah.
So one of the cool facts that I found, that they actually purposely ramp the water up to be hot, so
Yeah.
the prisoners can't acclimate to cold water. That was part of their tactics.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That's a
So
cool
I was
idea.
I was reading this whole thing. And they were like, they they purposely put it up to like 80+ degree water so that the guys can't acclimate.
So
to
they
the
can't
cold
go
water.
jump in the ocean and polar bear it and be like, we got this.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 9 years in the showers.
Well, that's
ingenious.
It's funny you bring the polar bear up because that's kind of the example they use because those guys train their bodies to deal with this cold water. They don't just, hey, I'm gonna go join the polar bear club, drop down to my skivvies and jump in the cold water. No, these guys are.
I would do it.
Yeah, we talked about this.
I would do it.
Would you really?
I would. I mean, I want to train now that I know that I probably should acclimate my body to it, but I would do it. I think listen, I'm not afraid to go and experience things. I may do it once and never want to do it again, but I'm not afraid to do things.
Yeah.
I haven't skydived. I want to. I've heard Cody's story and how terrifying it was for him and how he'll never do it again.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well,
like in description, like we want to.
It's hard to do this with no video.
I know.
Like this is a video conversation.
That's what I'm saying. Show not tell. Let's hear.
So, okay. All right. Sidebar. Sorry if you came for Alcatraz. You're going to listen to my skydiving story.
I don't know. This might be the better story.
It might. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I heard a piece of it. It sounded great.
So, it was Kyle's 16th birthday, my friend Kyle's 16th birthday party. So we go and he's like, oh, I want to go skydiving. And I'm thinking like, oh, I'm petrified of heights. Like, I don't like heights at all. Like
So you agree?
So, well, I'm like,
his best friend.
Like my best friend, you know, it'd be cool to say that I did it. So I was like, okay, well, once you jump off, that's kind of it. You're strapped to a person.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, well then I'm sure it'll be fine. Little did I know that was a big mistake. That was an enormous blunder to say yes. But anyway, so it was me, Kyle, and our friend Alec. And then so we go up to this place. It's in where is it? Lodi? Yeah, it's in Lodi.
Yeah, so just out in like an open area.
Yeah, out in the middle of nowhere, and it's got like some skydiver people there and everything. And found out that like 2 people previously had died, and then I think one more had died after I went there. So that's cool.
What?
Yeah,
that's fun facts. There we go.
Fact.
Is that what they tell you? Like as you're getting ready to jump out, hey, by the
You can
way,
look it up.
we've only lost 2 people. We're good.
You can look up how many people have died
Statistically,
at jump spots.
Probability, you're good.
Yeah. So 2 out of however many people did it in the last 20 years they've been there or something like that. So anyway, not bad.
Good times.
Yeah. So anyway, so I went there, and they kind of like sit you down. You sign a bunch of waivers saying basically if I die, it's not your fault, kind of thing. And I was like, okay, that's fine, and then I pay them $100, and then
nice.
So and then I pay them an extra $20 just so they can film it for you, so I can watch it later.
So he paid for film.
So there's film somewhere.
Yeah, there's film somewhere. I have it.
We got to see this.
And it's at my parents' house somewhere. But anywho, so then they put you they make you watch this video. And it's basically like, hey, so what you're going to do, it's going to be pretty scary up there. It's kind of like you're at Disneyland and you're watching like, keep your hands, arms inside the vehicle. Except this time it's kind of like, hey, try not to think about breathing a whole lot while you're up there. And you're like, counterproductive, but okay. And, or like kind of like psychology. You probably shouldn't say that because now I'm going to.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, and then I'm like, okay. So then we get in there and it's like, okay, so now you're going to want to make sure you make like a banana when you get up there, when you jump out. You make the shape of a banana, right? You imagine if you were a banana, not like not a crescent, but an opposite crescent, I guess. So, anywho, I'm trying to describe this without visuals, so bear with me. Anyway, so as you're falling, you basically like put your hands and arms up. You've seen people skydive.
Yeah.
So anyway, because then you're gonna have a guy next to you. Anyway, this guy is like who gets me, he's like Australian or something. And he's like, oh, blimey, mate, I'm going to be taking you up today. And I'm like, oh, cool. And so then he kind of is like trying to be super like, hyped up and fun. And I'm just like literally shaking because I'm super nervous and realizing I definitely should not have come here and done this, but I'm already here and I already paid money and I'm just too late. So I'm like, okay, let's go. So I'm trying to be as like excited about it as I can. And after I stepped on that plane, I knew this was not a good idea. I was like, this is a terrible idea. I should bail right now. But as soon as that door shut, I was like, well, looks like I'm jumping out of this plane, And that's what they told us. They were like, if you are sitting here right now and I close this door, you are all jumping out of the plane. You know what I mean? We're not letting you not jump out of the plane.
How many jumpers were there?
There's probably
not including the tandem guys. Just,
how many like people?
clients,
there's probably about like, let's say maybe 8 to 12.
Oh, wow.
So they go up in that plane. And so, Anywho, that you're at this point, you're already strapped into your partner. You get strapped in before you go up there. So you guys like have to walk together.
So you're in your baby brace. Where
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
Carrying you. Got
Exactly.
it.
So like we're sitting like together. He's behind me. We're getting very close to each other.
We're kidding.
He tries to, like, sometimes he'll like talk to me and I'm like, don't do that.
Whisper
Don't
in your
whisper in
ear.
my ear right now.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, please stop breathing on my
He's
neck.
just kind of like, well, I go up there, super loud. He's yelling, okay, when we go up there, we're gonna jump, you do the banana thing, and you want to do some flips? I'm like, no, no, I don't. I just want to jump, and I just want to go however we go.
I want to land.
I don't want to do flips. He's like, all right, suit yourself, mate. And he goes down like the turtle from Nemo or whatever. And so grab shell, dude. Grab shell.
Crush. Crush.
So and then so like we get up there and then they're like, oh, the birthday boy should go first. Kyle jumps first, and now that means that our group is going to jump first. So I was like, oh, great. So then Kyle and Alec jump, and then I think I'm third. And then I basically sit on the edge. Camera guy goes out. He does some like Daredevil stuff where he like jumps out on the side of the plane, and he's like on the wing of the plane, like, I'm ready for you to jump, dude. Like he's not like staring death down like I don't even know how many miles, 1,500, 15. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it is, but
10K
it's so high that you can see the world, like the Earth curve at that point. Like you can see that the Earth is not flat.
Oh,
Like you could like,
interesting.
yeah, you can. You're that high. I don't know how high that is, but that's what I saw out there. It was pretty sick. Like you're above the clouds and everything, so you're looking down. You're like, yeah, I can't even recognize anything down there. It's just so much land, and then some water. But so anyway, we get ready to jump, and he just kind of counts down, and then I don't even get to decide when I go. He just goes, okay, ready? We're gonna jump, okay? 3, 2, 1, and then he just pushes us both off, and I'm like, I don't even go, wait, I need to, and then you just go out there, and you are like flung like this because he's pushed off something. So I'm like,
so you were like a peeled banana.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. And so I'm basically like flung out of this plane,
Spread eagle.
and it's not exactly initially when you get off there, you kind of are doing a little bit of like maneuvering, like flipping and turning and stuff like that, just because the wind and everything. You got to get your balance essentially.
Yeah.
So
well, when you first jumped though, what was the first thing that what went through your head?
It was kind of like just breathe and make sure you don't die. I don't know how I could make sure of
They
that.
also said not to think about breathing.
Yeah, they did. They were
Yeah.
like, don't think about breathing while you're
And he's
up
like,
there.
I gotta breathe.
Well, I mean, I'm just nervous. I have to, you gotta
Did
really.
you pee a little? I just got.
No. I
Yeah.
realized. I hope I didn't. I don't think I did. I was sweating. I was sweating for sure because like I was super nervous. And so you just jump out there and then you're spinning and you're trying to regain where you are. And it's so loud and the wind's blowing in your face. And then like we gain balance for some reason. Like you're super disoriented. And then you're all of a sudden you're falling. And then you realize I can't breathe. And you're like, great. So I'm going to die before I hit the ground because I can't breathe. So I'm like kind of trying to turn my head a little bit so I can like breathe, because you can't breathe with the air hitting your face like that. So I'm like trying to like actually essentially break my neck so I can look up. And the guy's like, no, dude, no, look down, dude. And I'm like, I can't breathe. And then and he's like, what? And then he's like, stop hitting me in the face. I'm like flailing my arms because I literally can't. I mean, it's not going to matter if I splat because I'm going to die from loss of oxygen.
Yeah.
By the time, by the time we hit the ground anyway. So I'm like, and so I'm like flailing. And he's like swearing at me at this point because I won't calm down. Calm that down. And so I'm like kicking and like all flailing and everything. And then finally he's just like, be a banana. He's also swearing other expletives at me I won't go into, but yeah, so there's a lot of him doing that.
How you guys get down in Australia? Huh?
Yeah, and then so the camera guy's looking at me like, his thumbs up, like, yeah, you look like you're having a lot of fun. And I'm like, like I can't breathe, and I don't care that the camera's there. And I'm like trying to like, and at the same time, I'm like trying to look at the camera because I'm like trying to like smile too at the same time, but I'm like, I'm literally lightheaded and I've lost all feeling in my face at this point because I have no air. And now my arms are going numb too. So essentially I do make the banana thing at some point. And then he puts our parachute earlier than he probably should have. We didn't have as much fun on the way down. So anyway, he pulls a parachute.
Well, he probably figured it's probably best for you.
Yeah, well, yeah, he finally pulls a parachute, figures, no, let's just float down the rest of the way. And then he swears a little bit more. And then, because now it's quiet. Now I can totally hear him. It's completely audible. And he actually swears for a little while. It was about a 15, 20-minute descent.
Was he mad at you?
Oh, he's incredibly mad at me. He's told me, he's like, I almost cut you up there because...
I almost cut you?
Like, well,
like, what do you mean?
Cut me off. Like, cut me loose. He's like, I almost cut you loose because you would not calm down. You know what I mean? I was like, well, thanks.
What would that have
for
been?
not.
Yeah. Like, cut you loose and let you die?
Okay, the way he explained it, he's like...
That's the whole point of that guy going, is to literally make it to where Cody feels comfortable and can get down.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, I almost cut you off.
Yeah, because he was like, he felt out of control. And if it was going to endanger his life, that's part of that thing I signed earlier. That if it endangered his life at any point in time, he could cut me off.
Oh.
So,
and then you just fall.
So I just fall.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good times.
So that's tight. And I was like, well, thank you for not doing that. And, and then he swore some more. And then, and then we finally landed. A lot of people break their ankles on landing like that.
Oh.
Like coming in, because I guess it's so like fast sometimes, like unexpected. Like people don't anticipate how fast you actually come down, even with a parachute, So, but we were fine. We all landed in the grass, and he immediately walked off. And I tipped him an extra couple bucks just because he didn't kill me.
You're like, thank you for swearing at me here.
I really did. I wrote him like, hey, thanks for not killing me. And then I gave him $20. And then, and then I watched my video, which was pretty cool. And then after that, I was like,
can you tell in the video that you're struggling?
Yeah. Well, it's hard because all you hear is like rock music,
Well,
and
yeah,
like,
because-
and you just see me, and like with my mouth open, and I'm just like, and so no, you can't really tell that I'm like having the literal worst time.
So for our listeners, would you do it again?
No, absolutely not. They're under no circumstances, and I do not recommend it. I do not recommend that you go do this because it can 100% turn into the worst thing ever.
Well, yeah. I mean, they'll cut you loose.
It's a flip of it's a coin toss for me. It's either the best time of your life because people claim, oh, I love it, I want to do it so much. I'm like, and that's great. Much love, all those people. It can also, the other side of the coin is it can be the worst thing ever, and you never want to do it again. So,
yeah. I mean, again, back to I was about to cut you off.
Yeah,
like that's all bad.
It's tight.
You were almost done forever.
Yeah, just so listen to them. Even if you think you're gonna die, you have to listen to them because I guess they can kill you anyway. So really, you should listen.
Don't freak, don't breathe, and be a banana.
Mind you, Cody wouldn't have done this on his own.
Never.
So that's the type of person. So the type of person that would probably go through an experience like Cody would not actively go and pursue skydiving.
Yeah, I am a little. I'm kind of retarded. I'm kind of retarded. Remember, Alex Jones said that?
Yeah.
That's what I was mimicking. He's on Joe Rogan's podcast. He's like, listen, Joe, I'm kind of retarded.
Well, I mean, it sounds like a blast. Good times.
No, it wasn't.
Yes.
Well, guess what we're doing for your birthday this year?
Yeah. Let's rock.
I'll watch all of you jump out of a plane, but I will not.
Aaron was terrified that I was going to do that for his bachelor party.
Well, only
mortified.
Not because I'm scared of heights.
No,
but because I have a metal plate in my ankle, and I've heard those stories about people landing wrong.
Yeah,
like hitting like in an angle.
Yeah,
and that's the only thing I don't need is this metal plate popping out my ankle.
Yeah,
and now I'm in surgery for the next 3 days.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That would not be tight.
So I've actually always wanted to, and then when I had the accident and I ended up, shattering my ankle, and they put that metal plate, it was like pretty much a wrap. I
they really should give you like full face mask. Right, because then the wind's not in your face.
Yeah, I would,
and you would be able to breathe somewhat.
I may do it again if that is a thing. Like,
I know for like snorkeling, you can do full face. I have a full face mask for snorkeling.
Because the thing is that
great.
Outside of that, like the view was you couldn't beat it. Couldn't beat the view.
Well, yeah.
Right? I mean, like it's a really cool feeling. But outside of that, I mean, when you can't breathe, nothing really else matters. So I mean, it really kind of, more my attention was on air time.
So that was an absolutely horrifying experience. It sounds like.
Yeah.
That sucks because I've heard a lot of people say they really enjoyed it. And it's great.
At least I did it.
It's scary at first, and then it's like, hey, a lot of talking, but you're mortified.
Yeah.
So let's hope you never have to do it again.
Well, yeah. I can't imagine the circumstance.
Right. But so I'm curious. After we did Alcatraz, what were you guys' thoughts? I mean, we've not done it as an adult, so we did it as kids. I barely remember it.
So do I.
Hardly anything. But I thought this was really cool. I thought it was, we got to see different parts of the island. We got to see some cells. I'll actually be putting up a video of the what was that? The isolation cell.
Yeah.
Like
Or it's super dark.
I'm 6 foot, and I had to it's super dark, and I had to like duck down. I mean, those are some tiny cells.
I will say that I was kind of expecting a lot more going there.
So one of the negative things that I was going to say about it was, even though I had been to it years ago, when we were doing, we went intentionally to do the night tour, and in my mind, when they were explaining the night tour, there was like going to be more spooky stuff. We're going to get more tour of the island. It was an additional hour. I was a little let down that I felt like there wasn't really enough. Like the prison's dope. Don't get me wrong. Like to walk through all that stuff, especially as a gamer where you've seen these things in other games, like it's pretty cool. But I expected to go onto the backside, like with a lot of the abandoned buildings, even if we couldn't go inside, just to be able to see them. So I'm kind of glad we drove around with the boat, because to me, that's like the coolest part of the entire island is seeing those old buildings that are like falling apart, and they've got cages on the windows. And so I don't know why I got on the boat and we got home, and I told my wife, I was expecting a little bit more, like expecting more stuff. We ended up leaving. We didn't leave early, but we ended up getting on the early boat because we did the walkthrough already, and we were done.
I do hope that Cody, even though he's joking around, I think it'd be funny as heck to upload to our TikTok. So for all you listening, Cody decided to turn Alcatraz into like a Call of Duty game.
Yeah,
first person shooter.
If you guys haven't played Call of Duty Black Ops 2, there's a DLC map called what's it called? The Mob of the Dead. Yeah, it's called Mob of the Dead, and they literally like recreate Alcatraz in the game, and it's based on it literally is Alcatraz because the Golden Gate's also in the game too. Get teleported at in the Easter egg. Anywho, but yeah, it was being there was really cool because it was exactly like how they did it in the game too. So like I walked around like Aaron was saying, I walked around with like a finger gun, like I was actually in the game, and I would run around, I'd throw the tomahawk. That was great.
My favorite part about those clips,
tourists were looking at him like he was freaking nuts.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part is he's going around and doing this to completely random people, throwing axes at them or his tomahawk, and trying to reach for the weapons behind the bars. Like
I saw the one lady double take and then take like a giant step to the left.
Yeah, she's like, what's going on? Is that a real gun?
There's even one where I believe you attempted to make it look like you were jumping into a prone.
Yeah,
position.
dolphin dive. So because that's Black Ops, you can dolphin dive. So like when you run and you hold B, you can like you jump and you like land on the ground. So it just looked like it from my camera angle.
Those are good clips.
Yeah,
you got to upload, bro.
I posted them to my Instagram.
Well, TikTok.
I'll put them on the TikTok.
On the TikTok.
Yeah.
Once we do it, we'll do it when this one goes live.
So I think one of the cool things was they did show the cells of the escapees, which is kind of the main point of our topic today is the Alcatraz escape. Right. I know they made some movies called Escape from Alcatraz.
Clint
Eastwood. Yeah. So a lot of people have seen these movies. But we got to see the cells, the actual cells where the guys broke through the vent. The dummies are there. I don't know if those were the
authentic ones, the real ones.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if they were. But that was my wife's first.
Guards must not have been the sharpest tools in the shed if those are the real dummies. That's all.
Speaking of sharp tools, they carved those things out apparently with spoons.
Yeah,
which somebody's like they couldn't have done it. Well, somehow they did it
over time.
I'm more impressed with the fact that they were able to make paper mache doll heads of themselves.
I know,
using their own hair.
Yeah, they use hair from. Yeah, they would go get their hair cut at the barber and collect the hair.
And I was like, that's legit.
Oh yeah. Oh, these guys were...
You get creative when you have that much time.
So I guess the original crew was a guy named Frank Morris, and then the England brothers, which were John, Clarence, and Alfred. But Frank Morris was supposedly highly intelligent.
Yeah, if I read correctly, I think he was the brains of the operation.
He was the mastermind.
The two were just kind of like grunts.
Right. In fact, to the point where he was like, over this time period where he devised this plan, he was like recruiting, and then he'd fire people. He'd be like, you know what? Because there was a handful of guys that came forward and knew about it, or they were interviewed by the guards and things like, hey, did you know anything about this? And one guy was like, yeah, originally I was part of the original plan. And then Frank said I couldn't be it. So it's like, you got cut from the escapee plan. But dude, they made water rafts. They made life preservers out of raincoats. They collected like 50 raincoats, supposedly, anything from people giving it to them, volunteering it, to stealing them from other inmates. And they created life preservers, dug holes in the vents, which we got to see, right? But it was crazy. So I guess Alfred England, one of the England brothers, they tried to help him get his vent, and he couldn't. So he ended up getting left behind. He eventually got it, and when he got to the roof, they were already gone. So he got the boot because he couldn't get his vent open. But so these guys, they plan this escape. They escape, and then no traces of them ever again. So there was some minor things that had popped up. Like, I guess there was that November of that year, a ship leaving Pier 38 saw a body. The only thing I couldn't see is the authorities talk about the body. They talk about, oh yeah, how the water, bodies will like rise up for months or whatever the case may be. But supposedly this body like had the type of blue jeans or whatever that the inmates have. So immediately the authorities are like, oh yeah, that's one of the guys. But there was 3 that made it off.
Yeah.
So 3 made it off. Now, when they started interviewing some of the guys that knew about the plan, I guess part of the plan was to raft from the backside of Alcatraz. So not towards San Francisco, but towards Marin.
Right.
Raft towards Marin, steal a car, and rob some local clothing. That was the plan. Authorities say, of course, there was no report. No reports ever came in like, hey, we just got held up. Hey, we saw these guys. Nobody ever saw them. Another crazy tidbit about the bodies not being recovered, and this is how the FBI kind of justifies the fact that they believe they didn't make it because, one, there's no evidence, no bodies, but apparently the same night, a African American gentleman by the name of Seymour Webb drove down the Golden Gate, parked in the middle of the Golden Gate, and committed suicide. And immediately people were calling the Coast Guard and saying, hey, somebody just committed suicide. Coast Guard went out there and the body was never found. So they say, and it was the same night, by the way, the exact night, same weather, same everything, and this guy's body was. So what a coincidence. 3 guys are escaping and while somebody's jumping off the Golden Gate. Now, maybe it was common. People were jumping off the Golden Gate. I don't know.
People do that still.
Really? Quite a bit?
Yeah. No, people really do.
Hey, what are you guys doing tonight? We're going to jump off the gate.
Well, didn't Vallejo just have someone like shut down the bridge or the not Carquinez, it is Carquinez Bridge. It was like a few months back they had closed down the bridge because somebody was going to jump off of it.
Oh, I do remember that.
Really?
Yeah. So I think I don't know why it goes to people's minds, and that one's not quite as high.
Yeah. If I'm going to kill myself, I'm not jumping off a bridge, I guess.
You're going to go skydiving and tell the guy to cut you.
No, God, no. I've heard things like, man, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I've heard like people when they do that kind of stuff, when they jump from really high places, they usually die before they hit the ground.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard so you would die sometimes before you hit the ground,
like a heart attack or
something like that.
I've heard they lose consciousness because of the pressure.
Yeah,
because as you start to fall, like you ever heard that thing? If you spit or throw something off the top of the Empire State Building, by the time it hit the ground, it would actually leave a small crater.
Yeah,
it's true, right? And mainly it's because gravity builds up as you get closer to the core, right, of the Earth. So the higher the place that you're jumping from, the more velocity it's going to have. And when you hit the ground, it hits harder. I've heard that too, or I've actually heard that people die on impact, right? So they don't actually like get under the water and survive and then die from whatever. They die from just hitting it because it's like a concrete.
Yeah.
If
you hit the water from a really high place, you're still gonna it'll be like concrete.
But I'm thinking like maybe I'm wrong, but like Carquinez Bridge, I'm like, doesn't seem like it's that high.
It seems survivable.
Sure. Don't want to test it, but I'm thinking in my mind you probably could.
I feel like what you should do is you should shoot yourself on top of the Carquinez Bridge. That way you fall, and in the case the gun doesn't kill you, you would totally.
Well, and I meant to look it up and I totally forgot. So maybe one of you guys could search it, but I think somebody did survive the Golden Gate. I think one person in history of suicide somehow just the way they hit and they were able to survive. So can you imagine? You're like you're heck bent. I'm gonna jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, and then you survive it. Probably paralyzed.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you're messed up. If not, you're like.
So now you got to spend the rest of your life thinking about what you've done.
Oof.
But while you were jumping, you were making like a banana. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a guy, a man who's he does powerful speeches. He's a motivational speaker nowadays.
Oh,
so
changed his life.
He's doing well.
Nice.
He just rolls up in there.
Rolls on up.
Gotcha.
What's his name?
I don't know his name. His name's not important. What's important is that he jumped off the bridge and survived.
But he's like the only one in history, right? Because I know quite a few.
Kevin Hines. more than 17 as of 2021.
handicapped?
As of 2021,
Yeah.
1,700 people have estimated have jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge since 1937. Now that is actually jumped off. I know that during the construction of it, many people died from the construction of it falling,
Yeah.
but attempted to jump and kill themselves or just jump off 1,700.
And he was the only one to
And
ever
he is
survive.
the only one to ever survive, and he was doing it for suicide. He was trying to kill himself.
Wow.
Yeah. That's insane.
But is he paralyzed?
No,
No.
he's not. I don't know what. I don't know what. I like the videos that I'm seeing of him. He's standing, walking around, doing his thing, and now he's a motivational speaker. Talks about
How many
how his
feet
life-
is it from the bay?
I don't.
That
I mean,
section
I
of-
can look. I'm sure I can look it up. But
You know what he did? He had that cotton you were talking about.
right?
He crafted the cotton.
From Elden Ring, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so
Fall damage.
his horse
Prevent
died,
fall
but
damage.
he made it.
It's all that matters.
he must have had that
Yeah.
talisman,
Yeah, the
That's
cat talisman.
the one that prevents fall damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what he had. He had something on his side.
Well, see, I would be. I don't want to say like outside of just jumping off. There's the jumping off and surviving, and then the Bay Area has some of the most gnarly currents
yeah.
like in the area. So let's imagine you live. You know you're hurt. You're not swimming well, but somehow you're able to do it and survive. My guess is a lot of times people go up there to kill themselves. They don't just get on the ledge and go goodbye and just jump. They contemplate because it's not easy to just go up there and kill yourself, I assume. So they go back and forth, and then eventually it's one of those things where they just pull the trigger and they do it. Pun not intended. But that's my thought process is
Pull the trigger.
Pull the
well,
trigger.
I mean, if you want it to be 100% certain, that's the way to do it.
I know all the
you know.
time. Just people who live through that kind of stuff.
Dude.
You need a shotgun. 100% you need a shotgun.
Okay, we should
Do
stop talking
not
about
get
this.
a revolver. Don't make that mistake.
We should. I'm not making a joke about this, but the point is, I couldn't imagine jumping off a bridge thinking that you're ever going to have another thought. So
No,
I understand this guy has like a pretty good story about how that moment changed his life, and now he's been able to move forward and those types of things. I think that's like I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine attempting to take my life off of a bridge and walk away from it. Or
well,
not.
and again, he is walking away from it. Right?
1,700, and he's walking. Yeah, he's
Walking like
Yeah.
not paralyzed,
Insane.
and then all the other 1,699 people done.
Yeah.
And
So-
he survived. That's crazy.
Going off of this topic, did you see the repressed FBI letter?
No.
So in 2013, there was a letter sent to the police department in San Francisco saying, "I'm 83 and I escaped Alcatraz with my brother Clarence and Frank Morris."
No.
It was repressed by the FBI.
It was
because
John.
It was supposed to be John.
Yeah.
It was released in 2018, and I guess the guy had died of cancer by the time the letter was actually revealed. So there's no real. I'm reading on it, like I was reading through it before we came here today, and I was like, I mean, that'd be. Not only did the guy escape and live, but he stayed in the area. Like I guess he's still in California, or was in California. So
Yeah.
but I'm gonna look it up more. But
And the only reason he wouldn't come out sooner is because he doesn't want to go back, because he's still technically a felon.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
the FBI did confirm they got the letter, and they did repress it rather than reveal it as a fake.
Yeah.
So that's
Did
Well,
they look
because
into
the-
this guy and see what was going on with this guy? Try to,
he was 83 and had cancer.
yeah, no, I mean, did they like look into like records?
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
Those types of things will probably never really be divulged to us, but
They don't want to give him infamy. And they sure as heck don't want to be wrong.
Right.
I mean, they're the FBI.
Yeah.
Right. They're supposed to be the top investigative.
apparently had details.
Organization in the
Apparently
world,
had
so.
details on how they did things, but most of that information's been out there now. Like it was impossible to do. I think if they had a raft, even with the currents, at the time that when they swimming would have been difficult for them to do, but if they had a
Yeah.
way off the island to not have to swim, it's not impossible for them to pull it off.
Well, and they found, keeping again that ship leaving Pier 38 saw one body. They did find one life preserver and some items that belonged to prisoner, but that was it. They didn't find two or three. They did not see 2 or 3 bodies. That's never been uncovered. They've openly admitted that, but they did close the case, stating that all 3 of them did not make it. So I'm sure they're like, oh yeah, we can't let this out.
So going into looking, I'm reading a little bit more on this. This was sent in 2013 and was suppressed until 2018. So I believe he passed. In the letter, he explains that his co-conspirator both died, one in 2005 and one in 2008. Offers and tells where they died. and then goes on to say that he was
So
willing,
all three of them made it.
that he would be willing at 83 and dying of cancer to take a 1-year sentence to serve as a, kind of retribution for what happened, kind of thing. But basically that he would have to have medical treatment because of his cancer. It just says the FBI did no such thing and just repressed the letter. So it's like, I mean, that's pretty nuts. I mean, I don't have details, and I'm sure I can find more if I dig into this. But yeah, 2013, at the end of his life, last one alive, wanted to get it off his chest and say, "Hey, I'm the one." Which we see a lot of that with guys that aren't involved, right? With the whole Zodiac killer, there was a couple of guys that were dying, or at the end of their lives, saying, "Oh, I'm the Zodiac."
Oh, and the DB Cooper thing.
And the DB Cooper thing, right?
Yeah,
it was me. I was the one that did it, And I don't know if that's just because I think the truest intent of a man's life is legacy, right? And for us as men, for me, it's my kids, right? It's the thing that's going to live on past me. It's teaching them to kind of carry on the traits of me and the role in family, and moving forward on that. But not everybody has kids, and not everybody has that type of legacy to go on. And some legacies aren't children. Sometimes it's career. Sometimes it's infamy.
Yeah.
And could you imagine having any more infamy than being, I hate to say it, but being the Zodiac killer or being DB Cooper, and
or the only guys to ever escape one of the hardest federal prisons in this country.
Yeah. What's crazy is, I knew this before, but I'm sure a lot of people don't know this. There were a ton of people attempting to escape. This wasn't like a one and done.
Yeah.
I think they said right around the same time, there were like 5 other guys that were trying to escape at the same, or no, there was like 13 escape attempts within a month period. I think 6 of them were shot dead, and the other were captured. The only people that were not captured and were successfully able to get off the island, as far as they know, were these 3 individuals. So it's a pretty incredible feat to do what they did.
Yeah.
And get off. So,
and Bird. Don't forget
Birdman.
Oh, there's a lot of. Do you know how many birds he raised?
No.
I found. They said in the uprights of 300 birds.
Well, did you see when we were walking in? They had this like big old poster sign thing. There's like 17 different kinds of bird species on the island.
Yeah,
like that's nuts.
300 birds this guy raised. Like,
I mean, what else has he got to do?
They're just letting this dude raise birds in his cell. Like, what's going on?
I'm sure they didn't care. No, okay. Going back to this, I gotta, because you mentioned it for a second, it just popped in my head. How dumb do these guards have to be?
Yeah.
Because at one point I'm hearing this little reenactment clip, and they're talking about how they can't wake up the guy in the cell. I'm looking at it going, that ain't a person.
Well, the lights are probably off or something.
Maybe.
The lighting probably wasn't as good back then.
Okay. I digress.
Oh, I mean, I could see how it would pass as a passerby, like you're passing by.
You can poke it with a baton and go, that feels like concrete.
Concrete.
It was made. They used concrete mix and
concrete
paper.
powder mixture.
Yeah.
That was the dummies were made out of.
So I don't know. I just thought to myself,
and then paint.
I mean, how often do you poke a head with a?
I mean, this is the 30s.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
You poke a lot of heads with sticks in the 30s?
I don't know. But also, what a lot of the reports said too is he's, like Franklin Morris was pretty much on the up and up. Like
that's a fake name, right?
Franklin Morris?
Yeah. Gotta be fake name. Frankly Morris.
Yeah. Yeah, that's his name. His parents didn't like him. So they said he was kind of like on the up and up, and he was charismatic and things like that. So it's possible that, he's just like buddying up with the guards, and it happens. These guys are here, they're doing hardened time, and if you're being chill, the guards are not going to mess with you, right?
Well, I think being on this island, even as a guard, probably feels like a prison sentence.
Oh,
right?
Sure.
I mean, I was looking at it. I think the only thing I saw of any kind of like happiness was that one of the guards' daughters got married on the island. I thought that's a really weird place to get married, but at the same time, it is probably one of the only things to say, hey, I got married on that island over there. You see
I'm
that?
mad.
Prison?
I wish I would have known you could do that. Like,
I don't think you can.
Oh,
I think the
totally done it.
Only reason she was able to, and it's a big thing, is because her dad was a guard.
I want to get married in D Block, where supposedly it's haunted.
Oh,
yes, like extra guests.
I want to like rent it out and do laser tag or something.
That would be cool too.
It'd be cool.
Or paintball.
I'd want to at least go see the rest of the island.
Well, that's okay. So,
or no, not even like I don't. Okay, so I get that. Okay, yeah, it's crumbling. Can't let you in there. Kind of like hazardous. Fine, but at least let us go inside like some of these rooms that they just locked for no reason. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
I think the reason that is I think a lot of that has to do with COVID, and we've just never really been released from it, because I was disappointed. I thought you're going to be able to walk in the back to where they had the chapel, right? They had that building in the back that's the chapel. It's like the original part of where the fort and the lighthouse was.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't walk back there. We couldn't get back on that side of the island. And then I don't understand that a lot of that's broken down, but this is a national park now, right? So they can put concrete pathways in, build new ones. And you know what I mean? Like, so I was really disappointed. It's not super expensive. I think it was only like $50 or $60 a person, but I was expecting more from it. I was expecting to be able to walk around more. And really what you do is you walk up like a 2-pathway street or 1-pathway street to the top. You go inside the prison, you go through 3 floors, and then you're it. And there's a lot of rooms and stuff you just can't go in. They've got them shut.
Yeah.
And they're making money. Let's be real. Our ship alone had almost 300 people on it because remember they were breaking us up into groups of 100.
Right.
There was almost 3 full groups, and at $60 a head, I mean, you do the math.
Well, and then as much as I think it's cool to kind of control your own tour with the digital, I think there's something lost. Like I enjoyed the guy talking as we were going up more than doing the phone thing. Like even though, because there's parts of that where you're like when you're walking by, you know, like where they escape, the vent that they escape from. If you walked around the corner, you can actually see the hallway or the little area that they crawl through. They had a glass
like that ventilation.
They never once point that out. They never tell you or instruct you to go over there and look at that. But that was a really cool thing to see was they had this plexiglass area where you can see the in between the walls where the vents were.
Right. And what they had to climb up.
The area that they had to climb up. And I thought that's kind of cool. But they never really talk about any of that. So
have some solid upper body.
I think they're probably doing the best of what they got right
prison
now.
bodies, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't need any legs down there. You need the upper body strength.
Upper body strength.
Yeah. All of it.
You don't want to have any of that, actually, right? They had to fit through this. Oh my gosh. You just say Ivar. Ivar the Boneless.
I love that guy. He's legit.
Ragnar's son, who was boneless, or he had some disease that basically
he got no legs.
He had no legs. So, but no. You wouldn't be able to be fit. The brother got stuck. He's probably lifting too much. You had to be able to fit through a hole that was like this big. I'm thinking
that hole was tiny. That's what I said. Like there was no way I was getting through that.
These dudes are starving.
I'm already, I was already feeling claustrophobic being as big, tall and big as I am. And these dudes are like, oh, let me climb through this tiny little hole. Let me ramp up this tight and narrow space where there's pipes. And they got off. And it sounds like they made it. Well, the FBI is not going to ever confirm nor deny that. So.
Well, I don't think that anything should ever be confirmed for the sake of infamy for the people that did it, right? So when somebody commits a crime or does a mass shooting or anything like that, I think until the person's captured, his name should be out there. But once that person's been captured, like a Ted Bundy or whatever, we don't speak of him anymore. We don't give him name. We don't give him anything because the fame is what a lot of those guys are after. So I agree with the idea of kind of suppressing it in a sense, but and I don't know do you remember what their crimes were? The 3 guys that were in there?
Bank robbery.
2 of them were bank robbery. Yeah.
But no murders, right?
I don't think so.
I know there was a lot of murderers there. I was looking through the thing.
Well, there was, but there's also criminals that like rob banks and they get sent to a little more or less maximum security federal prisons and they act out. Mm-hmm. And that's what Alcatraz was. Alcatraz was like, oh, you want to keep acting out?
Superman.
So like, for instance, like Capone, like one of the most, this country's most renowned gangsters, right? By the way, I did not know this. 1929, Capone's empire was worth $62 million in 1929.
So he'd be like the world's richest man if he had the money.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, and the craziest part is before like a lot of the murder started happening, like the Valentine's Day massacre. Before all that happened, people were actually behind him, thinking they were calling him the modern day Robin Hood, because he was taken from the system. That's how they saw it. He wasn't taken from average people. He was taken from the system. And not to mention he was a bootlegger and people love their booze. So, the government's like, oh, you drink a beer, you're going to prison. And he's like, hey, here, slide this. So they were looking at him like he was like almost a hero.
He got sent there because of tax evasion.
Yeah.
Well, that's all they could pin on him.
Yeah, exactly.
So they couldn't pin the Valentine's Day massacre, even though they're like 99% confident, because it was this other mobster guy. It was his posse that did it, but the guy was known to work for Capone.
Yeah.
And again, it's back to what people don't realize with the Valentine's Day massacre, even though it was one of the bloodiest murders in this country's ever seen, it was all bad guys. The guys that they shot up were other gangsters. Like the one guy's crew dressed up like cops, pulled up on these dudes, rolled up on them and said, hey, turn around, put your hands behind your back, face the wall, blah, blah, blah. And of course, they're not trying to deal with the police, so they do, and then they lit them up. That's the Valentine's Day massacre, right? So, the Untouchables, Elliot Ness, right? They fought to find something on him, so they get him on tax evasion of all things. He was actually only sentenced to like 9 years or something like that.
He was only there for a little while, right? He wasn't there very long.
So he went to one federal prison first, but here's where Capone being Capone. So Capone was known for like being very charismatic and very like people oriented. Again, the people thought he was the modern day Robin Hood. And so he goes to this federal prison and he basically manipulates the prison, the guards and everything else. And they're like, we can't have
He's
this.
got so much money.
Right? Well, and just people like him, right? And so they go, oh, okay, we got a place for you. And they send him to Alcatraz. And then he's quoted after trying to do the same thing for a couple years at Alcatraz. He's quoted as saying, Alcatraz beat. Like it broke. So because you're not going to manipulate stuff out there. Like there's not visitors. None of that stuff is happening at Alcatraz. So you're not handling that. Anybody know what Capone died of?
I don't.
So Capone apparently had a sexually transmitted disease. Well, they didn't confirm that, but he had syphilis. Capone died of syphilis. It was like this whole anticlimactic article I was reading. It was like, and I'm like, man. And it even talks about he got stabbed. Like he got into an altercation in the like the kitchen or eating room, and this dude stabs him. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's how he dies. And he goes, nope, he survived from that, and he ends up dying of syphilis. I'm like,
does he die? Does he die in Alcatraz?
No.
Or did he get moved to another prison?
He got moved to another prison because he started getting real sick. So in Alcatraz didn't have to take care of these guys. So other well-known prisoner, George Machine Gun Kelly. So not to be confused with the rapper Machine Gun Kelly, like the real machine. So he was there. Of course, Birdman. We talked about him. You know why Birdman was sent to prison?
No,
they did not talk about this. This is crazy. Birdman was a pimp.
A pimp.
He was a pimp.
Yeah.
He had a lady. He had what do they call them? Night walkers, working girls, street walkers. Right. Yeah. He had some, and a bartender decided to hire one of Birdman's ladies to, do what the ladies do.
Right.
And he stiffed. He didn't pay her. Well, pimps do what pimps do. And
his pimp hand was strong.
And he murdered this dude like bloody murder, like hardcore. So they sent him to prison.
Why would you do that? Why would you buy a lady of the night but then not be ready to pay for it? So silly.
I don't know. Well, and Birdman looked kind of goofy. Like if you look at his picture, you're like, you wouldn't think that this guy, like,
but his pimp hand was strong.
His pimp hand was strong.
Gator needs his gat.
Like, yeah. Like if he'd have gotten away with that, I guarantee ain't nobody gonna ever stiff his ladies again because it was bloody. So anyway, as far as the escapes, there's no either way.
Why was he called Birdman?
Because of his birds he raised.
Did we talk about that? We didn't talk about that, right? Oh, yeah. We did it for a second. Yeah, 300, dude.
300 birds.
So was he like doing this in his cell, or did he have like a spot on the roof?
It said that he raised them from his cell. So I don't know if that means
he collected the eggs outside.
Wow. Yeah,
he brings them in
because his name is Birdman of Alcatraz specifically. So it wasn't even the prison he was in first. It was specifically Alcatraz, and it was on record that he said he was pretty chill. So that's why they probably let him do his Birdman thing, because they didn't really like, man, we ain't messing with this pimp. You know what I mean? Pimp. Yeah. So, we had a great time. Definitely could have been a little creepier. There's a whole lot of, like, people believe that there's certain cell blocks that are haunted, of course. Yeah. There's a warden. The first warden is, like, adamant. He's like, I've never believed in ghosts. And he wrote this whole thing, and but he's, like, confident, haunted with evil spirits. But, hey. I'm sure any kind of closed down, run down, like maximum hardcore security prison probably has very similar stories. You watch any of those like History Channel ghost chasers, like every time you turn around, they're in a new prison. I'm like, come on, really? So I would like to think these guys made it. As crazy as it is, I mean, not that it's a good thing that felons are bailing out of prison, but because it's the craziest, hardest, most planned out escape in the history of federal penitentiary. Yeah. So I'm going to stand on that. I'm going to stand that they made it. The old man was trying to come out and tell everybody that him and his homies made it. And the feds just want to cover it up because they don't want to be wrong.
I'm going to dig into it. I mean, we're not doing the podcast now, but now that I've seen it, I'm like, I want to know if the FBI confirmed. All they've confirmed is that they did receive a letter. And then release that letter.
But they didn't confirm it until 5 years after receiving the letter.
Correct.
So that's almost like
But if everybody listed in the letter is dead, it's kind of like,
that's what I'm saying. They wait till everybody's dead, and then boom, we got this letter. This nobody's gonna go to him and ask him, right?
Right.
He's done. Maybe his family knows. Maybe his family's listening. That would be legit. Maybe we can get like a comment like, "Hey, we're the grandkid of so and so." That'd be cool.
Why do they have an accent?
I don't know.
In California.
No, they're not all from California.
Well,
They're
no, I
they're
understand
shipped
they
in.
weren't, but
the
escaping,
family.
they were here. The family would be from here.
Maybe it's possible. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he gets out and marries and has a white picket fence. And
Where are we going
infamy.
Identity theft was so much easier back in the day.
Wow.
next? Well, he's not wrong.
I mean,
Well,
really.
one of the things I was thinking about, like, when was the escape? What year? 20 something, or was it 30 something?
No. It was because it was in the late 30s.
Right. So
It was 30.
I know, I'm not from fact, but I've seen where like bodies go into in the current and the tide in the bay now, and they'll be found down in like Santa Cruz, like the ocean current pulls it down.
for sure.
And they can find them. If this happened in the 30s, people aren't looking for that stuff, and there's no real way to communicate fast and say, "Oh, we found their guy."
Yeah.
Right. So it's possible that bodies were found elsewhere.
And there are sharks. The reality is
Yeah.
the Pacific Coast does have shark. I mean, what's that beach just north, just right there in Marin? It's like well-known great white hot zone. Why am I drawing a blank?
I can't think of.
Anyway, so yeah, there's sharks. So that is 100% feasible that, the bodies got
It
eaten
just
up.
doesn't seem that far. Like, I understand swimming, it would be a challenge to swim it, but if you
Yeah.
had a raft, which is what I'm understanding they had, it doesn't seem like it would be that far of a trek to get across.
It
the
doesn't,
bay.
because you can see. Remember, we were standing there, and I was like, "There's Marin's right there." You're like,
Right.
"It's right there."
Right.
But I don't know what the raft. I meant to write down the
Well-
materials and stuff they made the raft out of, but
Yeah, it's not that far, but the thing is like it's made out of life jackets?
That was the life preservers.
Oh,
Yeah, I meant to write down-
life
I didn't-
preservers are made out of
I didn't
life
get the
preservers?
material that the
Rain jacket.
Rain jackets. Well, what's the life raft made out of?
That's what he didn't write it
That's
down.
fine, yeah,
Oh,
my bad, my
I'm pretty
bad.
sure it was
But-
made out of.
But look at this. Regardless of what it's made out of, look what we felt on that big, heavy ship we were on, just getting from San Francisco from the pier to Alcatraz. Like, we felt the ocean. It moved heavily.
Yeah.
Like, we felt it, right?
Yeah.
So you're pretty much sure it wasn't going to be an easy trek,
Yeah.
right?
No,
But-
definitely not. And also, it's pitch black out there.
Yeah.
Like, there's no light, especially in the 30s. You don't even see the light of the city, probably.
No, probably not.
There's no.
Definitely not Marin.
Yeah.
Because Marin,
It's just absolute darkness and water. I find it very hard to believe that they survived. Extremely hard.
It was a
No.
raincoat raft.
oh, the
So the
raft was
life-
raincoats.
So the life preservers that they made is the raft.
Oh,
So
maybe
they
that's why I didn't.
made out of 50 PVC raincoat, rubber like PVC
Was the raft.
was the raft.
Oh.
But it was made out of the raincoat. But still, I mean, without blowing it up, it's floating. You're right. I mean, 3 men on this thing,
Yeah.
depending on how big it was. Still, I don't know.
Hey, they said, we out. And Mr. Frank Lee Morris planned this thing for like 6 months. So if anything, if they did, they still have infamy, right? I mean, movies.
It was
Talk.
62, by the way. That was when they escaped.
Oh, what did I say?
1962.
Late 30s?
Yeah. They did
Oh, you
find,
know what's
they
crazy?
did find the raft. The raft was found on an island, on Angel Island, which is, I believe, the real small island in between the San Rafael Bridge.
Interesting.
So they
Just
did
on the way to Marin.
Right, but that doesn't necessarily mean bodies were there. And the raft could just have been blown up against the coast, but it does look like it said it was found. There was a documentary in 2011 where they talked about how it was found.
So funny thing. So that was late 1962.
Right.
And then they closed
It was a
half a year later.
14 feet by 6 feet. It's pretty good size.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, they closed a couple years later.
They get all that.
It was held together with a waterproof type glue. They recovered a bottle of Realm-Weld book repair liquid plastic in cell block. So they used the you know what you would
Yeah,
glue
yeah,
the
the
spine
spine.
of a book. That's how they glued them together, and they used straws to stitch them together.
So I wonder
These
if
dudes are brilliant.
I wonder if part of the design behind closing the prison was the fact that somebody finally got out, because it was only a few months later that they closed.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
because it was 1963 that the prison shut down.
And I believe I was reading that it was ramping up. People were escaping following this escape.
Yeah.
You started to see more escape attempts. Not that they made it, that people were getting shot and killed, but there were more attempts at escaping after a successful attempt than there was before. So, kind of crazy.
Well, the world may never know. But, hey, you're in for thrills, don't go skydiving.
I'm just waiting for season 2. We'll finally know who did it and if they made it off. Okay, I'm done.
Season 2 of what?
Of Alcatraz. See, I want to know if they made it off the island.
Oh my gosh.
Just season 2. I'm waiting for the drop date. They haven't given me the drop date yet. Okay. All right, moving on.
I think it should go back to being a prison.
All right.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
If there was some, I mean, we now have the technology to do a lot of things, but couldn't they just pipe water over now?
Totally.
Right?
Easy.
I would think so.
Right? Like, I mean, they could easily do it.
They pump oil across many, many miles. Why couldn't they do it?
I think it just gets to the point where it's just like, okay, now it's still a cool prison, but they're able to build Supermax prisons on mainland.
Yeah, it was one right there in Marin.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. You know what's dumb is they didn't even let us walk up on the second level of the freaking cell. I wanted to go on the second level.
That's what I'm saying. Like, all that was blocked off, and I thought,
so dumb.
like, I felt like there was a lot that we didn't get to see.
Wasted
Mind
potential.
you, it's a very long tour. Like, I want to say it's at least an hour and a half to almost 2 hours of just walking through. So that is cool, but I just envisioned being able to go and touch and see more.
And instead of making it so empty, you know what they should do is they should like recreate it to where how it actually looked when it was in working condition.
You mean like beds and stuff in every one of them?
Beds in every single one.
They
and
only
then
had them in a couple.
Library, functioning library, guards. Like they should recreate the whole thing. And I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of stuff they could do there.
Oh,
They're
he's
just
like, make
not
it a
doing.
theme park.
He's not wrong. You go to like the Alamo in Texas, and a lot of those rooms are still made up. They've still got the desks there. They've still got the books on the shelves, and I mean they're roped off and you can't go through it, but treat it like a real museum. Yeah. They had what was it? Popular Mechanics was a magazine.
Yeah.
That's what they learned how to build, how to make these like paper mache heads, and they found 80 something tools in their cells, and that's how they did all these things. They learned how to do these things from these magazines that they were.
Those
able to
guys
read
are the reason that cells get tossed now.
They can.
I almost guarantee. Like
they could do a whole thing where they also serve you food in the cafeteria, where they give you meals every day. Or you can even do a thing where you pay and you go to get treated like a prisoner for like a day, and you go there and you let them like do all the things to you.
Please sign this waiver.
Yeah, exactly.
You learned what happens when you sign waivers, bro. You almost got cut.
You and a group of 100 people, right? And then they can make it a giant escape room too, where like you have to attempt to leave the island.
But not only that, we could somehow work it out to where we can get Monopoly money in there, and I can use that to buy the knife behind the counter in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
My charismatic nature, I could try to, you know what I mean? Like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, allow me to get the materials I need to build a raft.
Limitless potential with that place. And they have a little podunk stupid gift shop, and you're like, this all stuff's pretty lame. And then like,
well,
I got a cool coffee mug.
There are cool things.
I've been drinking out of it.
That's
cool.
That's all right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Did anybody notice? Did anybody notice the prison shirts that were for sale?
No, you said it. I meant to
Like
go back and look at it.
The blue jean looking ones, the short sleeve with the white buttons, like you would see in every prison movie, or what they're authentic to what they wore back then. I'm like, you're over here selling for like $70.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just go to prison and get one.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, there you go.
I'm telling you.
Or they probably sell the same Ben Davis ones at Goodwill.
You pay like $200. You get shipped to the island. You get stripped naked, showered down, and then they give you those like the complimentary prison. You get to keep them after you're done.
Yeah.
Oh, and they keep the tours going.
Wow, and you have to be there. Yeah.
So part of it is that people get to experience you going through the prison system.
Yeah.
And your entire time there is either you have to either make it to the end of the time or you have to escape.
Yeah.
The whole point is to escape.
So you know, there was no red tape for guards back then. So if you want the real experience, like these dudes, like you pop off, these dudes hitting you.
Yeah, and they hit you with the racial slurs too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No matter what color you are,
yeah,
just dropping on you.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, whoa, a lot of character there.
Yeah, but they're not real intelligent, so it's fine. As far as we could tell, they were like, "Oh, look, they won't wake up.
Wake up, okay."
Warden, he won't wake up. I got another one over here, Bill. Like,
There's
But yeah,
Any,
it'd be pretty cool.
so,
That would be a cool experience to do like a
Saying.
It would be
like
cool.
a
Let's get Disney on the
long-term-
phone.
put 'em
Why
up.
do you think it gotta be Disney?
They have the money to do that kind of crap.
True.
They do. It's
Who
true.
am I gonna call?
I mean,
Six Flags?
Six
Man,
Flags-
I'm not gonna call Six
They
Flags
could
for
pull it
that.
off too, though. I mean,
No,
let's be
they
real.
find a way to ruin it. Is what they do.
Wow, I love Six.
Me too. But have you been to the one in Vallejo?
Well, that is
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, come on. That thing is run down.
Well, give me another example of Six Flags. What was it? Magic Mountain.
Magic Mountain would
Mhm.
probably be the best.
That's
one in
the sickest one. But
I don't know.
can you give me any other
Texas-
examples?
that the Texas Dallas Fort Worth one looks pretty legit.
There's 6 of them.
Have you
in
been?
Texas, by
Oh, there's
the way.
multiple.
Yeah.
but
But
it's right next to the Dallas
in
Cowboy Stadium. that's
California,
why.
Magic Mountain's the best one.
I'm just saying because it's California, they found a way to ruin it. Six Flags. I'm just saying, let Disney take care of it. Disney would do a great job.
Which is also
Possible.
California.
Anyway, so before we close, we were talking about this, I think, while we were on Alcatraz about the Winchester House. So
I want to do that.
You know,
I've actually never been to that when our school or whatever went to do the tour on that.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go. So it was years ago when I was a kid, kind of similar to the Alcatraz trip. My wife's been said it's pretty freaky and
well, one, it's the history behind it, super cool.
yeah.
But there is a midnight tour.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
So before, I haven't looked at it recently. Before COVID and everything, it was like around Halloween that you could do it, but I think they've opened that up. So we'll have to look into that. Cody's not feeling that or what?
No, I'm just gonna. If we're talking about theme parks, okay. If we're talking about theme park,
No, we're talking about a historical house. that
whatever.
Another podcast.
Is,
So-
is supposedly haunted.
Okay, yeah, I think that's really cool,
Like it's
and I
haunted.
think we should totally definitely
Yeah.
go to that. Another one that when you said that, it just oh my god. Okay, so have you guys heard of Omega Mart?
No.
Omega.
Omega
Mart?
Mart.
No.
Oh my gosh. So it's in Las Vegas. Okay, and it's called Omega Mart. It looks like a supermarket. Okay, looks like a supermarket. You walk in there. There's a ton of like, it looks exactly like a supermarket. There's just items on the floor, or items on the floor. Items on the shelf. You go up to them, but they're not what you think they are. They're like weird, and they're like almost fake. And it's like it looks trippy. Like things don't make sense. Like you would think it's like a banana, but it ends up being like really heavy for some reason, or it's really squishy. It's not a real banana, and it's named real different things. And then all the labels on stuff says "Please wake up," and it's like super trippy and weird. And then if you go to the this dairy aisle, you can open this door, and it leads you into another like dimension almost. And you have to like no, I'm serious.
Is this an experience?
It's like an escape room kind of thing. It's so cool, and it leads you.
Do you pay to go into it?
Omega?
You pay like I think it's like $45 per person. It's like but it's got like it's like
Did someone just create this, or is there like a historical?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
someone just
Got it.
made this.
Type Omega.
Okay.
Pops right up.
Omega Mart. Yeah, it's so cool.
Interesting.
Look at these videos. Look up in it. I totally want to go. Like next time I go to Vegas, I'm totally going there. 110%. So like you go in there and there's like it leads you into another like really trippy room. There's a little hidden crevice you crawl through. Then you got to climb up these rocks, and there's like a whole bunch of like it leads you into it just keeps going and going and going. There's just different rooms, different little things you could do. So many like amazing little like so cool. I don't even know how to describe it, but like you should look at some videos.
Yeah.
pretty.
It looks crazy.
It's awesome. So Winchester House, Omega Mart, totally going.
They were featured in Forbes magazine. So.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Oh wow. Oh, so it's an immersive, basically, art experience.
Yeah.
With a lot of twists.
And you can actually
turns.
buy the little items in the grocery store. You can check out. You just go and check out. You can buy the items if you want, but you can also explore the rest of the grocery store too.
That's weird.
So cool. And you
It
go
looks-
to the
looks
dairy
crazy.
sign. It says dairy for some reason. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Like it's a nonsense place. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, we'll have to look into that. Looks kind of trippy for sure. But Winchester House, we should do it.
Yeah.
We should do it.
I'm done.
And especially if the midnight tour.
Yeah.
Because they open up a little more of the house, and it's a flashlight tour.
Spooky.
So
I've never been, so it'd be cool to go.
anyways, I think they survived. Cody thinks they're dead.
Well, they're dead now.
True. You're not
Yes.
wrong.
So both of you are right.
Well, Cody thinks they died in the escape.
I do not think they died in the escape. I don't think it. Honestly, I think if they had to swim it, I could have seen maybe not all of them making it or not making it at all. But having something, a preservative to get across, and the fact that preservative was found, meaning that it didn't sink,
Right.
leads me to believe that they made it off. And in this, I mean, it's still the 60s. So I'm thinking in my mind, like, okay, a little bit more advanced. not
Yeah.
really technologically advanced, but more advanced. We had the ability to
more
call
lights.
and do things a
Yeah.
lot more lights.
Marin was a little more established.
It would have been
built
a terrible plan to go and try to break into some place. That's a terrible plan.
Yeah.
My guess is that you would have worked together with someone on shore that had done
But
it.
that's coming from other inmates too. The FBI got that from other inmates that were supposedly part of the plan. With as smart as he was, he could have planted
baited it.
seeds.
He
Yeah,
baited
he
it.
baited
Yeah.
it, for sure.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
throw-
If you're trying
throw
to
the
throw people off the trail.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't go towards Marin. Maybe they went the other way.
Could have.
But I don't know. I mean, it would be. I believe they made it. That's what I want to believe. And
Me
it
too.
would be really cool to know that the guy that sent the letter in 2013 was telling the truth.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty awesome.
All right.
Anyways, hey, listeners, fam, we love you as always. Let us know what you think, live or dead. Let us know if you've been to Alcatraz and what your thoughts are of the one of the most notorious federal prisons in the American history. So, as always, we love you. We're out.
Peace out.